Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the West Dundee President Candidate Forum for the consolidated election on April 6th, hosted by the League of Women Voters of the Elgin area. My name is Carol Grom and I will be the moderator tonight. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that works to empower voters and encourage informed participation in our democracy. One of the ways we do that is to hold candidate forums to provide voters an opportunity to hear the candidates running for election. The forums sponsored by the League give candidates for local offices a chance to present themselves and their information about themselves and their candidacy, their background, skills, education, reasons for running for office, what they hope to accomplish if elected, and positions on various issues relevant to the office. All candidates in contested races were invited to participate in a forum. Each one was given the opportunity to fill out a candidate questionnaire on our website, and their written responses, if any, can be found in the voter guide. This evening, you will have a chance to hear from the two candidates for West Dundee President, Christopher J. Nelson and Joseph M. Connell. The format for today's forum will be a 3-minute opening statement, followed by 2-minute responses to questions from the moderator, and ending with 2-minute closing statements. Our timekeeper will show the candidates when they have 1 minute left, 30 seconds left, and when their time is up. Questions for the candidates were selected from those submitted by League members. After the question and answer period, the candidates will have the opportunity to give a 2-minute closing statement beginning in reverse order. This forum will be recorded and posted to our YouTube channel, where it will be available for viewing via links on the League website, LWVEA.org. So welcome to our candidates and thank you for agreeing to participate tonight.
Thank you.
Mr. Connell, we will begin with your 3-minute opening statement.
Okay, give me a second, please. How do I start it? Just to start right when I need to start?
Just start.
Okay, I gotta get stuff ready. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Where is it at? Okay. I would like to introduce myself. Okay, hang on. I would like to say thank you to the League of I would like to say thank you to the League of Women Voters for giving me the opportunity to introduce myself to you and to the village, to the residents of West Dundee. By utilizing this platform, you will know a little about me and the future of this great village. First of all, my name is Joseph Connell. I'm so excited to be running for village president. I cannot wait to honor and serve you as your next village president of West Dundee. I hope I can count on your support on April 6th. There are many reasons why I feel right now is the right time for me to run for village president. To start with, I'm a born resident of this town. I am not a newcomer to the community. I have close ties to the community. I am a parishioner at St. Catherine's Church, and I am active with the Knights of Columbus and have participated in many community service projects with this group. St. Catherine's has a strong knitted community and have gotten to know many residents and non-residents over the years. I am familiar with the inner working of the village. Starting in the 1990s, I've worked with a few local village public works departments, and West Dundee was one of them. While living and working for the village, I have made many connections throughout the village and the daily operations. My goal is to help this community like I've always have done. West Dundee is the village to be proud of. Within recent years, we have lost that little shine, and I know we can get it back. One of the major focuses will be decreasing the tax burden to the residents. To do this, we need a new and well planned out development, and this includes the rebirth of Spring Hill Mall area. In the past 12 years, many of these businesses clothed and fed our families have either shut down or moved to a new location outside the village. As you can imagine, this is very detrimental to our tax revenue. placing more burden onto the village residents. We have recently lost Sears, Macy's, Target, Francesca's, and many, many more. If given the opportunity, I would meet with business owners as a month-to-month or quarterly basis, making sure the village is doing its job so they can be profitable. We cannot afford to lose another business in this town. In order to do what I have outlined, I believe we need a full-time village president now, and I have the heart to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nelson, your 3-minute opening statement, please.
Thank you. And I appreciate the invitation tonight. My name is Christopher Nelson, and I've served as village president or mayor for the village of West Dundee since 2013. I'm married with 2 teenage daughters. I have a master's degree in city management, and I have an undergraduate degree in political science. I started my career in municipal government, working for the city of Sycamore first, and then for the villages of Schaumburg and for Hoffman Estates as well. I've been an active member of the community in the 16 years in which I've lived in West Dundee. I've started the HOA for Grand Point Meadows, where I reside. In the process, we finished our public improvements when our builder unfortunately went bankrupt. I also have been a member of the Boys and Girls Club of Dundee Township since 2009. I also serve on several boards, including the National League of Cities, and I'm an active board member there, and also for the Northwest Municipal Conference and for Metro West. My platform is fairly simple. There are 3 points. Keep taxes low. We have the lowest effective tax rate among all of the communities in the area. Keep service levels high. West Dundee is known for its strong public service and public works and public safety capabilities. If you were to call a fire engine or call for an ambulance today, we would be at your house in under 5 minutes. And that is well below the national standard. Streets are plowed, we do leaf pickup, we have an expansive service roster, and I'd like to keep it that way. I'd also like to keep the future bright. When we talk about development, it's easy to say we're going to do anything that comes down the pike. But we have 4 active quadrants within the village, including Randall Road, Spring Hill Mall, the Route 31 corridor, and downtown. We have to be smart in the way we develop, and I believe we have been since I took over the position of village president in 2013. And with that, I hand it back to you, Mrs. Grohl.
Well, thank you. And now we're going to begin the question and answer portion of the forum with a reminder again that each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer. You don't have to fill 2 minutes if you can answer in less than that, but that's the amount of time you have.
Okay.
First question will go to Mr. Connell. What impact has the COVID-19 pandemic had on village budget operations and programs? What steps would you take to help the village recover?
First of all, we have to comply with the county, okay? And we have to comply with them, what we need to do. And can you repeat the second part of that question?
What steps need to be taken to help the village recover?
I think we need to start doing some pay cuts, starting from Village Hall all the way down to Public Works. Because some people in this town has probably made a little bit too much where they should be making. And the taxpayers are flipping the bill for everything on that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Nelson, same question. What impact has the COVID-19 pandemic had on village budget operations and programs? And what steps should be taken to help the village recover?
So the impacts have been specific. So roughly about 15% of our revenues were impacted when COVID struck over the last 12 months. One of the things, well, a number of things that we did is we tried to kind of get ahead of the curve. So one of the things that we did was defer our capital projects that weren't necessary, things that we could defer for other years. An example of which is the repainting of one of the water towers near the Spring Hill Mall area. There are things like ambulance maintenance and fire truck maintenance, things that we can't really push down the road, so those have stayed. We also froze water rates, recognizing that there was an imposition on the residents, and we didn't want to necessarily add to that. Recognizing that we still needed to make our budget in terms of the water department operations, we recognized that we could probably still make the budget work even with freezing out any potential increases for the given year. Other things that we can do is work collaboratively with the county. Mr. Connell rightly noted that the county is key to, I think, addressing anything that COVID might present to us. The county does administer the CARES Act funds that come from the federal government, and we have been effective in working with the county to ensure that we are reimbursed at levels similar to what other communities are getting. And it has helped us to plug the budget hole.
Okay, thank you. This next question will go first to Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
In your opinion, what are the most important issues facing West Dundee, and how do you plan to address them?
So I think the bread and butter here is making sure that our tax base is solid. So I mentioned earlier that we have 4 quadrants, at least on a planning perspective, we have 4 quadrants in the community. And one of the things that we've wanted to do is to kind of invest in more of our economic development piece of the community development department. So our director, Tim Scott, is key to that. We have also invested in additional personnel, such as a village planner, to take away some of the day-to-day work that Mr. Scott would normally have to dedicate in dealing with kind of the pedestrian issues like fence permits and the like. In doing that, we're able to compete a little bit more effectively with some of our more affluent neighbors. Speaking of Hoffman Estates, South Barrington, Algonquin, even Schaumburg, we often compete for the same type of developments. And even looking at the Chicago region, it's important to recognize that we operate in a very competitive landscape. So net, we have to make sure that we're developing that base. And I think with some of the adjustments that we've made and also adopting our West Dundee 2025 plan, which kind of guides our economic development, I think we're well positioned to compete within a very competitive Chicago market.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Connell, we're going to ask you the same question. In your opinion, what are the most important issues facing West Dundee, and how would you plan to address them?
Most important issues right now is like repaving some roads here that we have skipped over many times here on the south side of town, like not 7th Street, like 5th Street. That needs to be focused on, you know. We need to have, we call it, Jesus, caught me off guard. Infrastructure. That's important. Right now, I say we need to remove those camera boxes here in town, right here off of Route 31 and 72 and Bunkoski. We need to remove those. He said he lowered taxes. I mean, and if we're lowering taxes, why are we raising permits? You know, and landlord permits and building permits here in town, and water. You said the water bill went down. I believe the sewer went up. So I don't understand that point. Why can't we just keep everything as is right now during COVID? And for the future of this, I mean, right now we need to start saving money in this town and stop spending it.
Mrs. Grom, are we addressing each other directly, or are we simply answering questions?
No, I was not. I'm sorry. I was just pointing
No,
out.
we do not address each other.
Okay.
The next question will go first to Mr. Connell.
Okay.
What skills, experience, and ideas will you bring to the job of president if elected, and why do you think you are the best candidate?
Okay, I'm a newcomer here on this platform, okay? And I worked for this village many years ago, and I worked for other villages too, okay? I know the inner parts of what's going on at Village Hall, to Public Works, the fire department, the police department. I've been out of those departments, I don't know how many times. When I walk down the street, I guarantee everybody knows who I am in town, all right? Everybody knows who Joe Connell is, all for good reasons. You know, first thing, like I said, we got to take down some stuff here. We want to make our town warm and cozy. We need to take down those camera boxes, you know? And I'm so sorry. Can you repeat the other half of that question?
Why do you think you are the best candidate?
Why I'm the best candidate? I know a lot of people in town. Like I said, you can walk up and down the street and everybody knows me. I can knock on doors and they'll say, come on in, have a cup of coffee. I've asked people about Mr. Nelson and no one really knows. And that's unfortunate. On day one, if I win, my door's open at Village Hall. I'm going to work with these village owners here and the residents and these businesses. They need to know this face of the village. That's the best part. Not looking them up on YouTube or on Google, you know. So I'm a very personal person here in town. Everybody knows me.
Thank you. Mr. Nelson, same question. What skills, experience, and ideas will you bring to the job of president if elected? And why do you think you are the best candidate?
As I mentioned earlier, I have a master's degree in city management, and I also have an undergraduate degree in political science. I've been actively involved when I was in local government, having worked in that for about 10 years. And now at working in the private sector, I work with local governments. So cumulatively, I've been in the municipal government realm for about 28 years now. I've also been engaged in the community in a very positive way. I have maintained those relationships and deepened them over time. I take exception to, I think, some of the things that were said a little bit earlier. I think one of the things that, setting aside the education experience, one of the things that I think I'm known for is being able to work collaboratively and calmly and as a team member with all stakeholders within the community. Mr. Connell has certainly been around for a very long time, but it also comes with a lot of baggage that you might not be acknowledging. I think that where I am considered is as a rational and effective member of the community. And I think for those reasons, I hope to be elected for the next 4 years as village president for West Dundee.
Thank you. Okay. Next question goes first to you, Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
How should the village balance long-term needs like infrastructure maintenance and economic development with residents' desires to keep taxes low and the village a family-focused community with small town character?
So there are a couple of ways that we have sought to address this, the board and I and staff. So the first of which is the capital plan. So when I took office, we did not have a dedicated revenue source for capital projects. The general fund was often contributing money on an annual basis back to the capital fund. And when the general fund was a bit strained, perhaps like a year like we've had, the capital projects didn't necessarily get done, especially the critical ones. They kept having to be deferred. So one of the things that the board and I did is work to establish $1 million a year capital plan. So there is a dedicated system for contributing monies to the capital plans. And Mr. Connell referenced earlier about streets. We actually started a street improvement program 7 years ago, and we scaled all the streets, put them on a chart. We used an engineering company along with our public works department to analyze the streets that are in the community. And we ranked them, and the ones that are in most need are the ones that get addressed first. In fact, this past Monday, we authorized another $1 million program to address street and infrastructure programs this coming year. I also believe that the board is actively committed to making sure that this continues to happen on a go-forward basis. There is absolutely no plan to scale that back. And I think it's critical for the village to have that dedicated revenue source, that we're not falling behind and having to catch up at some future date, so that we have reliable ambulances and reliable streets.
Thank you. Mr. Connell, the same question. How should the village balance long-term needs like the infrastructure maintenance and economic development with residents' desires to keep taxes low and the village a family-focused community with small town character?
I think what we have in plan right now at the village is perfectly fine. If there's roads being paved and planned out through the engineers, that's perfectly fine. Water lines need to be done. If that's already in place, that's great. If it's not going to hit us in the pocketbook, we're fine with that. You know, the first thing is we got to start saving our own money at the door. And I've worked for the village. I know how much wasteful money is being spent, starting from public works, police department, fire department, and village hall. I mean, we got guys all over the place, just, I don't know what they're doing. I see them sitting out front, parks. I've seen them take their trucks home. We need to stop doing stuff like that. We need to start saving money.
Okay, Mr. Connell, the next question goes first to you. And it is, in order to grow, West Dundee will need to expand and diversify its housing stock to include affordable homes for young people just starting out and seniors, especially in the low to moderate income range. What are your thoughts on the need for more affordable housing in the village?
I think we have enough of that right now. I really do. I mean, we have a lot of nursing homes or retirement communities. That's fine. We can add more to those because we have to go somewhere. But for low-income housing, I think we don't need that right now. We don't. We need to focus on bringing in businesses in this town. We need like rebuilding the mall. We need to bring in restaurants. We need to start bringing stuff here to start lowering the taxes, the burden on for us. And I think we need to start focusing on that part of the platform before we start focusing, bringing other people in. We need to start bringing the taxes down by bringing revenue in.
Thank you. Mr. Nelson, same question. In order to grow, West Dundee will need to expand and diversify its housing stock to include affordable homes for young people just starting out and seniors, especially in the low to moderate income range. What are your thoughts on the need for more affordable housing?
So back in 2014, one of the things that we undertook was working with the Metropolitan Planning Council to develop a housing plan for the future. And they helped us to identify where we might be lacking in terms of available housing types. One of the areas that was deemed as being particularly critical, actually I would say 2 areas, one of which was apartments. We did not have an abundance of apartments that were generally available, and it seemed like people who were coming up through college and the like were looking for apartments rather than single family detached homes. The other bucket was senior housing. We didn't have a lot of that. So I think over the years we've addressed both instances. So we have apartments that have a low end component and also a higher end. So the rents are generally between about $1,100 and $1,700. So there's a component there. And senior housing, we actually have had 2 developments so far. There's a third that's going to be coming online this spring. So we're excited about that. And we feel that we've been able to address some of what the housing report asked us to address. The other piece is Spring Hill Mall. The redevelopment of that is going to have a massive residential piece. We have parts of the mall that are working very well, but in talking with the ownership of the mall, they also see a strong residential component and the kind of the revamp of the area. Carpentersville, which also has a part of the mall located within its community, also agrees that residential is going to be a big piece of that. I do think that with the housing plan as our guide, we have a good program in place to guide development of the future.
Thank you. Both of you have touched on the need for more commercial development. So I guess the next question would go first to you, Mr. Nelson, and that would be, what factors should the village use to evaluate proposals for new development? How do you decide what new development is a good fit for the village?
So, I mean, that's an excellent question. I think what we have seen over the last several years is just a massive sea change in the retail sector. I think far more than anyone could have predicted even 10 years ago. Even A-class markets like Schaumburg and Oakbrook are seeing large parcels going vacant, with Sears and Macy's at some of those A-class malls going dark, as they have in B-class malls like our own Spring Hill. So when we look at what the future should look like in terms of development, it should be development that is good in the long term. I know that sounds like it kind of folds in on itself, but it's easy now when there is a lot of pressure on the market to just take what comes down the pike. And that's just not West Dundee. When I moved here 16 years ago, one of the things that really attracted me was the fact that it was a small town that had a lot of big town amenities. And we seek at the village to keep it that way. So we've had a number of groups come by and kick the tires on various parcels near the mall, but they want to do things that I think are incongruous with the community standards. So yes, we would like to add to the retail base, we'd like to add to the tax base, but we don't want to do it by forsaking the soul of the community. And it's a soul that was really developed before any of us on this call arrived here. And I think we've been good custodians of that soul. And so bottom line, if we're looking long-term at the development, we're looking at stuff that's quality, and it has to be something that's complementary to the existing community.
Thank you. Mr. Connell, same question. What factors should be used in determining what commercial development should be allowed and encouraged?
I believe we have already done some studies, and we need to go off of those studies that we have paid for and sit down with the board and start talking about what we can do. Like he was bringing up Spring Home Mall, there's all different ways of developing that area, and that area needs to be developed soon because that's a problem being empty. All those big stores they're not just gone in Dundee, they're gone throughout the whole country. And we need to somehow reinvent that mall and start bringing in some revenue. And we just have to reinvent it. It's just a sad thing, just pulling up the Spring Home Mall Drive, and it's just completely empty. And you just have a few stores inside, and you got the movie theater that we banked on that was going to be the biggest thing and like better than sliced bread when it was first being built. And that's not even doing well itself. And I feel bad for it, especially when COVID hit. And we need to start redesigning stuff as the new future of this town, because we need to get that shine back. And that shine is like very important. When we come at one time, when we said we moved to Dundee, where are you located at? I'm in between the mall and 90. And there's no mall now really. And we need to start bringing some stuff back so we can say, hey, let's go up to the mall for the weekend and get something to eat, or bring a new business in there so we can actually go buy some clothes.
Okay, thank you. Last question will go to Mr. Nelson first, and that is, what's one issue you're hearing about from the residents, and what ideas do you have on how it might be addressed?
I think we touched on this a little bit earlier, but I think one of the things that people use on a regular basis are services. And so one of the things that has come up, especially in light of COVID, is service levels. And I think that we have been effective in maintaining service levels despite all of the challenges that have come down the pike. For example, during COVID, we recognized that it would be difficult to run things as we had been, given the fact that there was a pandemic bearing down upon us. So we proactively started adjusting schedules, dispatching people from home, keeping people out of individual buildings in close quarters so that we could maintain our service levels and ensure that our employees stayed safe in the process. And I think we were very, very effective in doing that. The infection rates among our employees during COVID, especially the kind of the concentrated portions in last spring and again this fall, we were still able to effectively man our fire department vehicles and our police vehicles, and public works function flawlessly. So I think when people ask, okay, can we maintain these service levels, especially in light of a pandemic, the answer to that question has been a resounding yes.
Thank you. Mr. Connell, same question. What are you hearing about from the residents? And what ideas do you have on how it might be addressed?
I've heard a couple of times out there, plus I'm a landlord here too, also in town, that our water bills have gone up. Okay, and I've noticed it too. I don't know if it's because of the new meters or not, but that's what I've been trying to tell the residents too. It could be one or the other. We call it, people that really disliked about those camera boxes. I know I brought it up like 3 different times, and I'm sorry about that, but that's like a main punch. Everybody asks me, is like, we need to get rid of those, because when we pull into Dundee, it doesn't make you feel warm and cozy. If someone's taking a photo of you making a right-hand turn, and it's unacceptable. If you do cross the white line, you will get a ticket. And it is what it is. But right now it needs to go. It's not friendly to the village, especially the one on Bonkoski. That's the other one. I think we all have gotten a ticket from one of those, and we all feel like, oh my God, it's $150 out of our pocket. Can you imagine if you worked all day and you have a family of 4 to feed and you just took $150 out of that woman's pocket just because she rolled through a stop or a turn? I mean, that's the thing people are talking about in town. Like, can we get rid of that thing? It just makes everybody nervous when they come up to that corner. People are taking other routes to avoid them. I admit it, I'm one of them. I avoid those intersections because I don't want another ticket.
Okay, thank you both for answering our questions. And at this time, we're going to move to the 2-minute closing statements, beginning with Mr. Nelson.
So since I became village president, we've seen a lot. We have a national decline in the retail market, unprecedented, unexpected, especially at the levels that we've observed, especially within the last 18 months. State and federal challenges. It used to be, back when I started in municipal government in the 90s, that we'd get a lot of state and federal aid and assistance, but those days are long gone. We're kind of a bit on our own. And a pandemic. So I think those three broad categories kind of demonstrate that there were a lot of challenges, a lot of headwinds. But I think we endured. I would argue that we thrived. Since becoming mayor, we've diversified the economy in West Dundee, not relying solely on retail. We've attracted over $200 million in private investment, including 3 headquarters being located here in town, carrying with them 400 career level jobs. We collaborated with neighbors on fire service, on planning. We began a dedicated capital investment program so that we can keep our streets and equipment at top levels. I think all told, the Village of West Dundee functions as a team. And I think with my guidance, it has functioned very effectively as that team. And I think that my collaborative approach and my mature and experienced guidance is going to be needed as we emerge from this pandemic and hopefully head into a bright, bright future. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Connell, your closing statement, please.
Like I've told you before, I'm born and raised in this town. I'm not new to this community at all. And I was raised on Eichler Drive. And the guy next door to me was like a father figure to me. And his father was the mayor of this town. And he told me so much history. And I just soaked it up because I love this town because of that. And this guy's name was Merle Eichler. Okay, Merle Eichler, his father was the mayor of this town, was the doctor of this town, had the pharmacy here in town. And I really love the history of this town because of all that. And they named a street after him. And I just really enjoy the history. And I love the people in this town. And this town needs to be back on top where it needs to be at. And I've seen it fall down to the wayside a little bit because we have lost that shine. And I really want to bring that shine back under my administration here in town. I'm not knocking Nelson at all. He's done a wonderful job here in town. And I just think maybe some new blood here, people from the lower part of town might help out. I mean, I'm here. Everybody knows me in town very well. It's nothing bad.
Okay. Thank you both for participating in this candidate forum and giving the voters a chance to hear your views. For more information on these and other candidates, check the voter guide on our LWVEA website, which is lwvelginarea.org. That concludes tonight's candidate forum. I want to thank Chris Nelson and Joseph Connell for agreeing to participate in this candidate forum. And I want to thank the league members who worked to provide this virtual forum to the voters. Thanks also to the voters who take the time to watch these forums and learn about the candidates in order to make an informed choice. If you have applied for a vote by mail ballot, they will be mailed out beginning February 25th. Voting early in person at specified early voting sites begins on March 22nd, and voting on election day at your regular polling place will be April 6th. If you plan to vote early, please note that different sites are open different hours, and there may be changes this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. You can check the Kane County Elections website for any update on hours and locations. We hope that this candidate forum, presented as a public service by the League of Women Voters, has been helpful. If you're interested in joining the Elgin Area League of Women Voters or supporting the work that we do, please contact us at lwvelginarea.org. League membership is open to men as well as women, and we welcome anyone interested in issues, voter registration, and elections. Thank you and good night.